if you're messaging me and asking me for my opinion on feminism or whatever take, like, pay me first, because that has value, and like demanding that kind of value, like within a capitalist society, is being like a radical way of reimagining what labor is. I don't know how that would change via like the revolution, but like right now I feel like that has been a really transformative way for me to like think about value, and think about labor as well.
If you don't mind me asking, do you feel about this kind of monetize a friend scheme?
Yeah. Interesting. I think that it is important to, if our value system is based off of like money, to imagine reproductive labor as being a value in that way. However, I think that it gets sticky when you're like basing everything off of that value system, because where do you go from there? And I think that as far as like monetizing friendships, I think that as far as like that movement specifically, it's more about monetizing acquaintanceships or even strangerships, and the kind of emotional labor that is asked of people who don't know anyone who's asking them about it, like monetizing that so that they realize what they're doing.
So like in power relationships, some sort of, you don't feel up to it, but you have to do it because of the circumstances. So if that happens, pay them.
There was also a professor that came here, her name was Dr. Prasad, but I can't remember her first name, who was talking about displaying affect in the classroom as a teacher. So when somebody in her class, like an intro to STEM studies class or something, was like, I want you to explain racism to me as a white cishet man, and she would lay on the ground and be like, I will explain this to you, but I want you to see how tired this makes me, and then lay us on the ground. And I do feel like that's not necessarily a caring for others feminist technology of care, but demanding that you care about how this affects me kind of feminist technology of care, which I thought was really interesting. So she would just like lay like exhausted and be like, here's how racism is an oppressive structure, but I'm really upset that I have to answer this 8,000 times a semester.
One maybe new thread that this kind of brings up is this notion of performativity and this kind of performing of affect. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure whether I'm taking this to the way that you were coding, but I would call it more of an embodiment of like feminist performance care wise. Actually, when election happens last year around this time, I think I was teaching acting class, a performance class. So a lot of students came in, and the safe space that we've been building on in my intro to performance class has been basically impacted massively. So it didn't feel safe, not because within the community there was something going on. It was just something happened outside of the community and everybody felt unsafe.